Arsène Lupin vs. Herlock Sholmes, Episode 3, The Tragedy of the Jeweled Woman. Welcome back, detective. We've watched two brilliant minds play intellectual chess across Paris, each victory a move in their larger game. But today, something changes. Today, their abstract duel collides with human tragedy, forcing both men to confront a terrible question. When genius warfare has innocent casualties, who bears responsibility? Prepare yourself for the case that transforms their game into something far more serious. Picture this. May 1908, Paris. A young woman named Clotilde arrives at my office in a state of desperate terror. She's 23, beautiful, from an old noble family fallen on hard times. Her story will become the catalyst that forces both Lupin and Sholmes to question the cost of their intellectual duel. Listen carefully, because her tragedy reveals the danger of treating crime as a game. Please, she begs, her hands trembling, you must help me contact Arsène Lupin. My life depends on it, but I don't know how to reach him. Think about this unusual request, my apprentice. Why would a young aristocrat desperately seek out France's most wanted criminal? What situation could make a thief seem like salvation? Her story emerges in broken fragments. Clotilde's family owns the Étoile Sombre, the Dark Star, a legendary black diamond worth 800,000 francs. It's been in her family for 3 centuries, their only remaining asset from former wealth. My father is dying, she explains through tears. Cancer. The doctors say he has, perhaps, 2 months. His dying wish is to see the diamond one final time, to hold the last piece of our family's glory. But here's the tragic complication. The diamond was stolen from their chateau 6 weeks ago. Not by Lupin, by her cousin Maxime, a gambling addict drowning in debts. He took it to sell to international dealers, planning to disappear to South America with the proceeds. The police can't help, Clotilde says bitterly. Maxime has already smuggled it out of France. By the time legal channels recover it, if they ever do, my father will be dead. But why seek Lupin? I ask gently. She looks at me with the desperation of someone with no options left. Because everyone knows Lupin can do what the police cannot. He moves in criminal circles, he understands how stolen gems are fenced, he can act quickly without legal restrictions. I'm not asking him to give it back for free. I'll pay whatever price he demands. I just need my father to hold that diamond one more time before he dies. Think about this moral complexity, detective. A thief stealing from a thief to return stolen goods to their rightful owner so a dying man can have peace. Where does justice lie in such a tangle? And more importantly, what happens when this human tragedy becomes another move in Lupin and Sholmes's game? I arrange a meeting with Lupin through intermediaries. When I explain Clotilde's situation, his response surprises me. A dying father, a desperate daughter, a family heirloom in criminal hands. This isn't a heist, it's a rescue mission. Tell Mademoiselle Dassy I'll recover the Étoile Sombre and return it to her within 2 weeks. No payment required except one condition. She must allow me to examine it for 24 hours before returning it. I want to study this legendary diamond firsthand. But here's where everything becomes complicated. Clotilde's desperate search for Lupin hasn't gone unnoticed. Inspector Ganimard has been watching her, hoping she'd lead him to the gentleman thief. And Ganimard has reported this development to Herlock Sholmes, who sees an opportunity. Finally, a case where I can predict Lupin's target with absolute certainty. He's committed to recovering the Étoile Sombre. If I can intercept him during the recovery, I'll have him trapped. Sholmes's analysis is characteristically brilliant. Lupin will need to track the diamond through criminal networks. This requires visiting fences, making inquiries in the underworld, eventually confronting whoever holds it. Each of these activities creates points of vulnerability, where he can be observed, followed, ultimately captured. He's promised the girl results within 2 weeks, which gives me his timeline. For once, I know exactly what he must do and when. But consider the ethics of this situation. My apprentice, Sholmes, is essentially using a dying man's final wish as bait to catch Lupin. Is this brilliant detective work or callous manipulation? Does the importance of capturing a criminal justify making a dying man's peace collateral damage? Lupin begins his investigation with typical efficiency. Through his network of informants, he discovers that Maxime sold the Étoile Sombre to a Belgian gem dealer named Verbeck, who specializes in moving stolen jewels to Russian collectors. Verbeck is currently in Brussels, negotiating the sale to a wealthy industrialist who doesn't ask questions about provenance. Here's the challenge. Verbeck keeps the diamond in a hotel safe, surrounded by bodyguards, paranoid about theft from criminal competitors. Lupin must steal from a thief who's expecting theft, all while Sholmes watches for any opportunity to intervene. It's a three-way game now, Lupin hunting the diamond, Verbeck protecting it, Sholmes hunting Lupin. What Lupin doesn't know is that Sholmes has already traveled to Brussels and made contact with Verbeck, presenting himself as a security consultant interested in examining high-value gems. I'm researching criminal methods, Sholmes explains smoothly. If you allow me to study your security arrangements, I can identify vulnerabilities. Consider it free, professional advice from someone invested in catching thieves. Think about this brilliant move. Sholmes isn't just watching for Lupin. He's actively involved in protecting the target, making the theft exponentially more difficult. He's turned Verbeck's hotel suite into a laboratory designed specifically to catch Lupin using methods Sholmes has learned from their previous encounters. May 20th arrives. Lupin makes his move, disguised as a wealthy Russian collector interested in viewing the Étoile Sombre before purchase. Verbeck, reassured by Sholmes' security improvements, allows the viewing. But the moment Lupin enters the suite, he senses something wrong. The bodyguards are positioned too strategically, the security too sophisticated for a mere gem dealer. The entire setup feels like a trap. Sholmes emerges from an adjoining room with Ganimard and Belgian police. Good evening, Monsieur Lupin. I've studied your methods extensively. Did you really think I wouldn't predict you'd come here tonight? Lupin's expression remains calm, but his eyes betray genuine concern, not for himself, but for his promise to Clotilde. What follows is a tense negotiation that reveals both men's character under pressure. Lupin, Mr. Sholmes, I admit you've caught me fairly. But before you arrest me, consider what you're really doing. A young woman's dying father will never see his family's last treasure. My capture serves justice, but causes tragedy. Is that the kind of detective you want to be? Sholmes' response is cold, analytical. I'm not responsible for consequences of criminal promises. You involved yourself in this situation. If the girl's father suffers, blame the thief who made commitments he couldn't keep. My duty is capturing criminals, not managing their emotional complications. But notice something in Sholmes' voice, detective? Does he sound entirely convinced by his own argument? Or is there a crack in his certainty? A recognition that rigid principle might have human cost. Lupin tries a different approach. Then let's make this interesting. I'll submit to arrest voluntarily if you'll do one thing first. Recover the Étoile Sombre legally through Belgian authorities and ensure it reaches Clotilde Dassy before her father dies. You're brilliant at solving crimes. Prove you can also solve this human problem through legitimate means. It's a challenge designed to exploit Sholmes' pride But it's also a genuine proposal. Lupin willing to sacrifice freedom if Sholmes will accomplish the mission's humanitarian objective. The detective considers carefully, recognizing this is a test of whether his genius extends beyond catching criminals to actually helping people. Before Sholmes can respond, something unexpected happens. Verbeck, watching this exchange with growing anger, suddenly pulls a revolver. "Neither of you will touch my diamond. This philosophical debate is costing me a fortune in lost sale time. Get out, both of you, or I'll shoot and claim self-defense against intruders." In the chaos that follows, Verbeck shouting, Belgian police trying to calm him, Ganimard attempting to secure the situation, Lupin makes his move. Not an escape, but something more audacious. He grabs the Étoile Sombre from its display case and throws it out the third-story window towards the Brussels Canal below. Everyone freezes in shock. The diamond is worth 800,000 francs. It's now somewhere in the dark waters of a canal at night. Verbeck screams in anguish, having just watched his fortune disappear. The Belgian police rush to search for it, and in the confusion, Lupin vanishes, not down the stairs where guards wait, but through a service window onto the roof. Sholmes realizes instantly what happened. Brilliant. He's made the diamond impossible for anyone to possess in the short term. Verbeck can't sell it, I can't use it as evidence. The police can't return it to Maxime. It's effectively out of play until someone can dredge the canal, which will take weeks that the dying father doesn't have. But Sholmes underestimates Lupin's preparation. 3 days later, the Étoile Sombre is delivered to Clotilde Dassie's chateau by anonymous courier. A note accompanies it. "Mademoiselle, your family's treasure, recovered from a Brussels canal where it fell during a dispute between thieves. May it bring your father the peace he seeks. You owe me nothing except this. Remember that even criminals can keep their promises. A.L." How did Lupin do it? The solution is elegant. The diamond he threw into the canal was a perfect replica he'd prepared in advance. The real Étoile Sombre never left his possession. He'd switched them during the chaos of Verbeck's gun-waving. Everyone watched the fake diamond fall, creating a spectacular distraction while Lupin escaped with the genuine article. Clotilde's father dies peacefully 3 weeks later, having held his family's treasure one final time. At the funeral, Sholmes attends anonymously, watching from a distance. "I notice him there and approach. You could have prevented Lupin's escape if you'd focused on capture rather than arguing philosophy. Why did you engage his challenge?" Sholmes's answer reveals complexity beneath his analytical exterior. "Because he was right to challenge me. I'm so focused on catching criminals that I sometimes forget crime has context. Victims have stories. Justice has human dimensions. I didn't help Lupin escape, he managed that himself. But I didn't try as hard as I could have to stop him either. Perhaps that makes me a lesser detective, or perhaps a more complete human being. Think about this transformation, my apprentice. The rigid, analytical detective acknowledging that pure logic isn't always pure justice. Meanwhile, Lupin kept a promise despite enormous risk, prioritizing a dying man's peace over his own safety. Both men learned something crucial about the limitations of their approaches. The newspapers report the Brussels incident as another Lupin triumph. Gentleman, thief, outsmarts British detective again. Returns stolen diamond to rightful owner. But the true story, Sholmes's moral hesitation, Lupin's genuine compassion, remains known only to those present. That evening, letters are exchanged. Sholmes writes, "Monsieur Lupin, you won this encounter not through superior deception but by making me question whether winning mattered as much as a dying man's peace. This is psychological warfare of a different order. Well played. Lupin responds. Dear Herlock, you gave me an opening you could have closed because you recognized human cost matters more than professional pride. You're a better detective than you were a month ago because you've learned that solving crimes isn't the same as solving problems. Our game continues, but perhaps now it includes wisdom alongside genius. So tell me, detective, who really won this encounter? Lupin escaped and completed his mission, but Sholmes gained moral depth that pure deduction lacks. The dying father received peace, Clotilde kept her family's treasure, and both detective and thief evolved beyond their original certainties. Is that a victory for one side, or for something larger than their duel? This case marks a turning point in their relationship. They remain opponents, but opponents who recognize each other's fundamental humanity. Their intellectual game continues, but tempered by understanding that real people suffer when genius warfare becomes too abstract. Inspector Ganimard summarizes it perfectly. You two are impossible. You argue philosophy while committing and solving crimes. You teach each other lessons while trying to defeat each other. And somehow, a dying man got his final wish because neither of you could be entirely the villain your roles demand. I don't know whether to arrest you both or nominate you for humanitarian awards. Join me next time for Lupin's perfect counterattack, where our gentleman thief, inspired by Sholmes' moral evolution, designs a heist that's simultaneously a crime and an act of justice. But Sholmes, now understanding Lupin's compassionate motivations, will use that very compassion as a trap. When both men operate with wisdom as well as genius, the game becomes exponentially more complex.